Probably the biggest advantage that Real Broker has over traditional brokerage models is its technology. The technology on the back end allows Real to be far more efficient in timely processing data, but also the technology on the front end that allows the agents to be far more efficient with our own businesses within Real. And for a technology-based company like Real Broker, one of the critical and key players in that business model is their Chief Technology Officer. So today we're talking with Real Broker's CTO, Pritesh Damani. Pritesh is responsible for pretty much all of Real Broker's technology, from the agent app to Real Signature to Leo, Real's AI virtual assistant. And in this conversation, I pick his brain about the role of technology in Real Broker's business model, his design philosophy when creating new technology, and where he sees Real's technology moving forward in the future. But real quick, my name is Malcolm Lawson. I'm a real estate agent here with Real Broker, and if you're interested in learning more about Real, I'd love to hop on a one-on-one video call with you, see if you'd be a good fit for your business or not. I have a link down in the description below to my calendar. Just pick a date and a time that works for you and schedule a call automatically. Pritesh, how are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me over.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Really appreciate your time today. So yeah, can you tell me a little bit about what is your background? Where were you doing before you came to Real Broker?
Well, I always tell people I'm an engineer who learned how to sell, right? So my background is engineering, product and engineering, and before Real Broker, I did 4 companies, and the last one, so I had 4 startups that I either founded or partnered, and the last one was Realty Crunch, which was a startup that was in consumer space. So it was, imagine Pinterest and Slack put together for a buyer. Very early on, I met Tamir because we had common board members and stuff like that, and I was trying to sell into Real as honestly a Skyslope competitor, and we thought we had a better product, but again we were a startup, so it always takes time to get these big deals. But at that point, Tamir and I had this chemistry, and it made sense to just do it together. So then I came on board. So Realty Crunch was acquired by Real, and I came on board as the CTO and the chief product officer, and then the CTO. So I'm responsible for product and engineering and technology strategy. Obviously, I collaborate very closely with Tamir and Sharon and Andre to have alignment on what we do. But we're a technology brokerage, so it's important to have super alignment at that level.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a perfect fit. If you're in the real estate field, you're in the technology field, and into startups as well. And so what year did you come over?
January 8, 2021.
Okay, yeah, right before me then.
Right before you, and then so you remember the pain we were in, we were scaling, a lot of agents were joining us at that time, and frankly a lot of stuff was manual. So very early on, February 1, I remember when I made the recommendation, we need to kind of restart. Restart was hit a full reset. And if you truly believe that we wanted to build a technology company that was going to build the technology of the future, I convinced Amir that we need to hit a reset and take the hit now while we can, before we get to 10,000 agents, and then you can't take this hit, because 10,000 agents will be asking you questions instead of at that time we had over 1,000 agents, but if you really talked about active agents, the numbers were probably small.
That's a good point. Yeah, I remember when I first came in, so we didn't have the Rezen dashboard. We had an agent app, but it looked very different than what we have today. So yeah, the agent app's definitely come a long way in those 2 years. Well, that's great. So I remember last year at the Real One conference, you gave a presentation, and something you said that really stood out to me, and that's that when you design software, when you use Gmail, you don't need a tutorial on how to use Gmail. It's very intuitive. You just figure it out, and that's your philosophy when you design your software as well. And I wonder if you could just talk a little bit more about that, your philosophy in designing software and kind of what that process looks like when you're designing something.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about this a lot inside our team. It's nobody's gonna come to us and say hey, your software is amazing. Almost never. It never happens. When's the last time someone goes to Google and says Gmail is amazing? They just take it for granted, right? But it will be really loud when something sucks.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, and that's the life of a technologist, right? Especially software technology. very rarely people come and like tell you how great everything is. Like, but on a daily basis, I hear what sucks. And listen, like technology is just evolving. So what this means is like, things that sucked in January 2021 no longer suck right now, but we built new things, and people's expectations grow over time, right? Because they get used to what they have now, and they're like, oh, I wish I had this new button, or I wish I had this new feature. So there's always a drive to move forward, which keeps us up. But at the same time, the whole idea of beautiful technologies that is invisible, right? Like people take it for granted. That's the idea. So the moment people, and this is like as you know, an ongoing joke in the company, is I ask people like the day people forget about me is like the day we are successful. And like the whole philosophy behind this is like you should take technology for granted. Like when you walk in the room and you turn the light on, like take a step back and think about how complex all of that is.
Yeah.
Like the bulb just turns on.
One thing I think about is that we have access to more information in our pocket than the president of the United States did just 20 years ago. It's
Exactly.
mind-blowing, and when you actually look at it in perspective, but we take it for granted, like you're saying.
And you're supposed to, because that's just how it works. Like you're supposed to take stuff for granted because that's how you push boundaries. So you ask for things and you make progress, right? I was talking to my father-in-law and he was telling me like, of course I'm going to get the new iPhone. Like I get to experience something that took billions and billions of dollars to build for $800.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Right. So of course I'm going to get the new iPhone. It's the same thing. So with us, like, when we design software, decisions that we made in February 2021 are still paying off, because we weren't thinking about, well, let's build the best agent app. That was never the goal. If you look, our economics, how tight the numbers are, that most of the money that comes to the company, we pay back to the agents, right?
I wrote them out the margins.
Exactly. And from our perspective, like, okay, if we want to build a sustainable business model, right, we have to build technology that sustains this. When we were designing software and we started thinking about what do we want to build, we wanted to build a sustainable company first. A sustainable company is a company that can be very profitable for the agent, but also can sustain itself, right? And typically in real estate brokerages, as you know, the solution is always hire more people. Hiring more people equals to real costs, equals to less money in the agent's pocket. That's the bottom line, right? So we had to build something that was going to automate our flows. It was going to automate our business. So there's the agent business, the deals, and then there's real broker business, which is like, from broker of verifying your paperwork to paying you out to calculating your commissions to generating your commission documents to taking your check deposits. All these little things, they all take people. Like a traditional brokerage, there's someone sitting on the front desk, right, waiting for you to walk in. You have like a folder or an Excel sheet or something. They'll ask you what your deal is. They'll generate a paper for you, like a CD, a commission document. You walk away. You want an update, you go back to the office, you get an update, right? So these human beings that are like talking to you, they're asking you, okay, are you paying your TC? Oh yeah, you are. Okay, $500. Is that coming off of net or gross? Well, our rule is this, right? There's so much complexity that goes into this thing. And at the end, you get a document. You're happy, you leave, right? And value is transferred. Like value is transferred from the brokerage to the agent, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of a higher split or whatever you're paying at, like artificial brokerage. With us, we had already made the decision before I got there that we were going to be a competitive brokerage. Okay, if you're going to be a sustainable company and a competitive brokerage, your software has to do all the work.
Right.
So the first thing we decided was, okay, we're going to automate the brokerage. And nobody had done that before. Even today, like, I don't know how many people have this. Like, I think there's nobody that's automated the brokerage, honestly. Obviously, it was a bold statement. It was scary. But we knew it was not going to work if we didn't do it. Like, Tamir knew that really well. I knew it really well. Because we knew the numbers and we knew, like, we would have to throw people at it and it was not going to work. So we said, okay, we're going to build something that automates the brokerage. And then how do you marry that within an incredible agent app? And if you think about, like, if you then start thinking of peeling the onion, automating the brokerage is the same as making agents' life convenient.
Mm-hmm.
What does automation of brokerage mean? Let's just use one example: generating your commission document. All the steps that lead up to generating your commission document is what the agent does when they walk into a traditional brokerage and they answer a series of questions. They say, okay, my gross commission is this, this is, I'm going to pay my TC this much money. And then the person on the other side goes, okay, our split is 70-30 or whatever that is. They do the math, they come up with a commission document that goes to the title company.
Mm-hmm.
The inputs are fixed, right? So from our perspective, it's like, okay, let's collect the input from the agents, generate the commission document on the fly. What did we just do? We increased, efficiency on the agent side.
Mm-hmm.
We decreased headcount on our side. We don't have to have somebody who's going to manually do these calculations. And then you keep adding with the same philosophy. Like we closed, close to 18,000 transactions last quarter, but like the same amount of people we had in 2021.
Right. And so you're saying that really the most significant software that you've built is all on the back end. It's probably stuff that I never actually see as an agent, but it just automates everything.
Yeah, it's I think if you ask me, 70% of the software we built is on the back end and 30% is exposed to the agents, right?
Okay.
But it is a yin yang situation where we can't clearly draw a line saying this is back end and this is for the back office and this is for the agent. There's no clean line, because what we automated on the back end, for example, generating commission documents, is the convenience piece on the app for the agent. So you've got these two things that work together. It's not just for the back office, it's for the agent, but automated, right? Same thing with check deposits. The fact that you can take a picture on our app and just deposit a check, right? Typically you would drive to the office and you deposit the check, right? Takes time, fuel, whatever, right? All of those things, versus now you just take a picture and you just do it. But it also takes a person on the other side to keep a log of your check, process it, Excel sheets, updates or whatever, right? All of that goes away. Same thing with commission payments, scheduling your payments, wiring your money. All of that is automated on the side. So we don't have human beings wiring money. We don't have human beings scheduling money. It's automated. They just verify that we received the money. They say, okay, $5,250. They go to the bank. They make sure $5,250. They literally hit one button, close, and just schedules all the money out, balances your books, does the capping awards, does the barometer on your app goes up, and everything, 100% of it's automated.
Yeah, I love that. I know on the quarterly financial reports, one of the numbers that they report is how many staff they need for each agent, each transaction. And so what you're saying is because of the technology that you're building in the back end, they just need fewer staff, and that means that you can probably scale the business up a lot better as well.
100%. And we talk about business models and numbers and competitive business models, and we look at them, and I was looking at some business model the other day with Tamir, and I was just we know that it's not sustainable because we know how hard it is for us, and we've automated everything.
Right.
So I kid you not, these business models that are coming out, they're not sustainable. It's not possible unless you build everything we've built. But that requires time. It's not it's not rebuildable. Of course you can build, we built it, you build it too. Anybody could build it if they really wanted to build it, right? But the challenge is time. You need time, and you're gonna have to do it in that order, right? So when we started thinking about our strategy, we were thinking about, okay, brokerage automation was one, and then agent convenience was the other factor. Those were the two primary drivers. And then we said our end goal is to have an incredible consumer experience. We call it the consumer experience, which is, what does the end consumer want? A home. A buyer wants a home. Ideally they would not want to work with anybody. They just want to buy a home. That's how they're thinking, right? Everything else is almost a nuisance, right, for them. So if you start taking that mindset, they just want to buy a home, how can we make it easy, is the same driving force for us on a daily basis, right? So our consumer app that we're working on, of course, when you are buying a home, you're looking at the biggest piece of the puzzle is, the stumbling block or whatever you want to call it, is the mortgage, right? So and the mortgage process is so painful. So as part of our strategy of the end consumer game is to take mortgage, title, our brokerage services, our agent services, all bowed up into this amazing experience where they don't feel it's a chore. We're not going to be able to reduce it to 2 clicks. This is not like buying a whole, like buying like a sandal on Amazon or something, right? It's like we clicks will be necessary, but we can make it fun and easy along the way, right? So
Yeah, can you talk to us more about that consumer app? I know you guys mentioned it last year. I think are they rolling it out with it this year at the Rise conference?
we will be rolling out something cool at the Rise conference. Yes.
Okay.
I'll keep something secret, but like but it will be a fun app that we will launch a consumer app on the Rise at the Rise conference.
Cool. Can you talk to a little bit more about what you can disclose? I know last year you're talking about how it's almost like when you order a pizza, there's a step-by-step guide of where your pizza's being made, and that's kind of your vision. And I love the idea of them also getting updates on the title side of things and the mortgage side of things as well with that.
Yeah, I mean, at a high level, if you think about it, like most buyers don't understand what title is. Like as you know, first-time buyers, they don't know what title is. Most buyers don't like barely understand the mortgage flow or the process, right? And the job of the agent, this is where the job of the agent is incredible, because like it's a semi-emotional process where you have to like, it's almost like a therapist for a buyer, right? Like it will be okay. You lost this house, you're gonna get the next one.
It is. Yes. A lot of emotions in buying a home, surprisingly.
Exactly. That plus explaining like almost decomplexifying the task, right? Like walking them through it, like answering questions when the time comes, like, oh, the mortgage, this is how it works, or what's a pre-approval, what's a pre-qualification, like here's what you need to know. All of those things that the agent does, they'll continue to do it, but then they have to work with like some mortgage broker or some big bank or something, and then there comes the friction, right? Then now you got a third person who's like involved in this thing. Imagine an app where an agent just invites a buyer, and the agent gets updates as things happen, but the app kind of takes care of all the complexity behind everything, right? Like the buyer doesn't know what title is, but the app does an amazing job at explaining what the title is. Like but the buyer doesn't know, like, okay, how do I apply for a loan? And like it's almost like talking to some person who's just walking you through the process and asking you basic questions and collecting data along the way to build your mortgage application. And at the end, it's like a 1003, right? So that's what we're working towards, right? Like and it's just baby steps. Like right after that, we'll be like, okay, let's get your title integrated, and let's get insurance integrated, and before you know, you have property search. And like a couple of years from now, I know it feels a lot, but like remember 2021, like it feels like yesterday to me. Like time goes like fast when you zoom out. We could have our own super app, so
yeah, that's exciting.
We're committed to building it, and a lot, like at least 50% of our technology investment goes in our consumer app right now. So
wow. Okay. Yeah, I love that. Like you're creating new technology. You're not just copying what everybody else has. Like, okay, we need a branded property search like everybody else. You're creating a new experience for the agents altogether.
Well, I think from our perspective, like consumer change is like behavior change is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So if consumers are used to searching for properties on Zillow, it's not going to change. It's one of the hardest things to do is to change that behavior. I know a lot of agents have custom apps. I know a lot of agents have like branded apps that they do. But if you truly ask them, like, are all your buyers like actually using your app? Like, I think it's a difficult question, because they don't. They use Redfin, they use Realtor, and they use Zillow, and they use.
I think you're absolutely right. And like a lot of agents, we've now learned, instead of telling our clients, don't go to Zillow, we have to coach them. Like, hey, if you go to Zillow, you see a property, let me know. Because now they have pre-foreclosures and other nonsense that aren't even listings. So we just have to learn to live with Zillow instead of trying to create a Zillow.
I know, it's like solving a problem. So like having a Zillow competitor is a disaster of an investment in my mind.
Yes.
It's like waste of money, because two reasons. One is now you're like chasing something that already exists, right? And you will always be compared to that. So what will happen is, like, when you launch a Zillow competitor, they'll be like, well, Zillow has that button, you don't.
Yeah.
Right? And you're chasing the wrong thing. Versus you launch something brand new, completely new, there is no A versus B, it's just B. And you are the B. Right? You just have to get it right. So from our perspective, if we when we think about consumer strategy, we think about agent in the middle, and what can we give the agent to like make them super agents. And again, it will be a work in progress. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be one of those things where it will just be perfect in October. But we know people have been trying to build this quote unquote super app forever. Right? It's not like we can't magically build a super app overnight either, but we have a path to it.
Yeah,
Right.
and do you guys like that process of technology of building something good enough, functional, giving it to the agents, and then kind of evolving it? Is that kind of your process? Like with Real Signature, it seems like it's made incremental improvements over the last few months since you rolled it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a part about technology. It's like, software doesn't work similar to hardware. I'll give you an example. You can't have a car that's like not perfect before you put it on the street, because it could just like
Right.
kill someone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but with software, there is never perfect software. Like, it just doesn't exist. There's always something to fix. So you got to get to a point where you have what we call minimum viable product, or minimum acceptable product, right? And launch it. Because when you launch it is when the true journey starts. Like, sitting in your lab and trying to decide what you're going to make is not helpful. It's actually like, the less it's in the lab, the better. Because what happens is, once it hits the market, that's when you start getting real feedback.
Yeah.
That's when you start getting real pain points. That's when you start understanding, are people even going to use this? Right? So you can start with an idea, but you got to bring it to market as quickly as possible so that you can start getting feedback. And that's when real product starts. So even with Real Signature, our motivation to build Real Signature is like this Lego block strategy that like we devised in, like, say, February 2021 is, we're going to build a bunch of Lego blocks and they're all going to work together. So with Reason, we have these concepts of like chatting, the Slack like chat feature, the checklist feature, the pizza tracker feature, the activity log. Real Signature was part of the Lego block strategy, which was like, okay, we're gonna have a signature product. We realized that we might not have every form, but that's not the end goal. The end goal is that people are using DocuSign today. Not everybody uses DocuSign, but there are people who are using DocuSign. But we can provide something as just basically part of the package, right? And you can start using it. Not everybody's going to use it, but then incrementally we can make it better. And 6 months, 8 months, 10 months from now, or 12 months from now, it's going to be a seriously competitive product where people will have to ask themselves, why am I paying $2,400 a year if I just get this, right? So it has to be a long game. But we can't launch a perfect product on day one, or else you have the opposite problem, which is you have a company that didn't launch anything for 12 months.
Right.
Nobody remembers that you launched something at the end of 12 months, right? And you're not learning anything. You launch something at the end of 12 months, you 100% will fail, because now you're going to get feedback that you should have gotten on month one. Right. So
yeah, it seems like there's data there that there's no other way of getting that data than getting 1,000 people, 10,000 people to kind of use that product and give you some feedback on that. Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys built a platform with Rezen, and now you're just kind of plugging in all these different components into it.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to our consumer app, if you really ask me the technicality of it, the consumer app is also part of Reason. It's not like it's a different thing. It's using the same infrastructure. It sits on the same cloud. It sits on the same APIs. It's exactly the same. It's using our same underlying infrastructure for the checklist, the document signatures, the pizza tracker, the activity log, the chatting system is just combined a little differently. We even have our own Dropbox. So like that, all of those pieces combined together in a different interface becomes the mortgage application. It's no different. It's the exact same thing, just different questions and different interface.
Yeah. Right. And so eventually, like, are you going to have Real Title and Real Mortgage integrated into Rezen platform as well?
They are integrated right now.
Or are they?
So title, you can already track title progress inside of Reason, but the way it comes true is through the consumer app. It's because that's when it will truly start making sense. Like, you invite your buyer and say, hey, listen, like, just download this app everything you need to know or everything you need to do to get a loan or to get a house. Just this app will walk you through it. It's branded for Malcolm and all of that good stuff. And then we walk them through it. We explain them everything. We teach them everything they need to know, right? But it's done with agent in the middle. That's the strategy here, right? And while they're applying for it, the agent has a view into it, but they don't. The buyer truly. We're gonna give them great title service, right? We're gonna give them the right title insurance because we're legally obligated to do the right thing. But the buyer doesn't truly understand what title is, so we gotta walk them through it. We gotta tell them what that means, right? And 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 that driver of that software that's driving the consumer app is also Reason. So that's our Reason is our platform, on top of which everything sits. Leo is also part of Reason in many ways, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good segue. So Leo is the new AI assistant you guys just rolled out, sort of like Gen 1, it seems like. Can you talk to us a little bit more about Leo and kind of what your vision is? Where is Leo going to be in 5 years from now?
Wow, 5 years is a long time, but I'll tell you this. I can tell you where Leo can be 6 months from now. But before we get there, think about why Leo even exists. The only reason Leo can answer questions like this: where is my money? And Leo will be like, which transaction are you talking about? You pick the transaction. It says, for this transaction, we have sent you the commission document. We're waiting for money to come to real broker before we can disperse the money. It will be very clear, right? Now, why was it able to answer that question? It was able to answer that question. Leo was able to answer that question because we have proprietary data that we built that's stored in technology that we own. So we know exactly where it is to pull it out. Imagine you're using a third-party product, a third-party transaction management system, or a third-party signature product. To do the same thing, you would have to integrate with APIs to pull that data in. But if you remember back in the days when we used to use a third-party transaction platform, how would people say transaction coordinator fees? They would leave a note on the platform. They would leave a little note saying my transaction coordinator gets $500. It would be in English, right? And someone in our team would read that and put it in a different field and create a commission document for you. Well, that can't be parsed. That's too loose, right? It's not what we call structured data. But when we own our own platform, we have Reason and we have Real Signature. What we've essentially done is we have structuredized the whole transaction platform. So your transaction is really well stored in our system, and all your data is also organized really, really well. And we know how it's called normalized. It's basically stored really well, where we know exactly which field is where. So when you ask a very specific question, we can answer that specific question. So you can say, what is the tax ID? Just that question. If you type that question, what's the tax ID? Leo knows which state you're in, right? So it will it will find the company that's connected to that state, find the EIN for that company, and give you that answer. So there's implied information, which people will just not truly comprehend how complex that is in theory to have all that structured data stored, ready to go. But Leo is answering pretty incredible questions even right now. Soon what will happen is Leo will start talking to you. This is where we get excited. So today when we are waiting on agents to do something, we send them emails. Most people don't read emails, this email overload. You can send them push notifications. There's push notification overload, right? What Leo can do, and Leo underneath is a large language model, right? Or GPT, a generative, pre-trained transformers is what's called, is essentially makes it sound like human. So we can translate what we want to send out from a system standpoint, saying we are ready for validation of commission, to hey, your deal XYZ is ready for your review. Can you come and look at the commission document and tell me it's okay? Much more usable compared to ready for commission validation or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And then what will happen is we will actually prompt you. So we'll provide you the document right there and we'll give you a prompt, yes or no. So you look at the document, you just click yes inside of Leo. So you've bypassed the whole interface. All those 50 buttons that exist in Reason become useless almost immediately, because you've got something that comes to you, asks a question, and gives you two inputs, yes or no.
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty wild. And so is Leo based on ChatGPT, or is it just something similar to that?
We like to say the word GPT because like the underlying model, ChatGPT is a GPT implementation of a company called OpenAI.
Okay, right.
But there are like 50 or 100 other models that are available out there that are commercially usable, and some of them are comparable. So by December, we're already doing this. So depending on the question, we use different models into like behind scenes, and we're pre-training these models. So uh, it wouldn't be very accurate to just use the word chat gpt because it's like saying photocopy versus Xerox.
Okay, cool, man. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you, man. I really appreciate your time. I'm sure you're gonna be unveiling. I'm sure I'll see you on the stage at Rise this year. And yeah, man, I really appreciate your time today.
No worries. I mean, listen, I'm glad we could connect, and hopefully you could summarize our vision for your audience.
So if you're interested in learning more about Real Broker, I'd be happy to hop on a one-on-one video call with you, talk to you more about your business, answer any of your questions about Real, see if it'd be a good fit for you or not. I have a link down in the description below to my calendar. Just pick a date and a time that works for you. You can automatically schedule a video call. If you want to see more interviews with leadership at Real Broker, you can check out this playlist I have right here. I have multiple interviews with Tamir, the CEO and co-founder of Real Broker, and Sharon, the president of Real Broker. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.